Welcome to Sunday School at the Hill. Before we get started with the lesson, I just real quick wanted to talk about the care packages we've been delivering. Over the last couple days, we've had the opportunity to actually come and see many of you. If we haven't had the chance to get to you yet, we're on our way. We promise we'll get there. But we've put on gloves. We've made sure that we have as much safety precautions as possible. But we wanted to give you guys a way to connect. We see how much of your schoolwork and pretty much everything has gone digital. And so we wanted to give you something that wouldn't require a screen. And so part of the care package is a devotional guide that's going to go for the next 5 weeks. It's going to be one devotion a day for 5 days over the course of 5 weeks. Our Sunday night and Wednesday night lesson series is going to be based on the same devotion. Also in that packet will be a roll of toilet paper. We know that the stores ran a little low, if not out. And for some of you, this has been difficult to get. So we wanted to be helpful so that when you need it, you had some. But also on each roll will be a letter and number for each student in that household. That's going to be used for playing toilet paper bingo. So every Sunday and Wednesday night, when we do our teaching videos, we're going to randomly select one letter and number. And whatever student that goes to, we'll give a prize to you. So make sure you keep paying attention to the videos to find your number and get a prize. This morning, we're going to continue our series talking about Proverbs. We've been studying this for a couple of weeks, and we've been looking at the wisdom that we can gain from Solomon, son of King David and a king of Israel. Solomon was known as the wisest man who ever lived. He's collected a ton of wisdom sayings that still apply in 2020. In fact, many of them would be really helpful if we would start to apply them to our life. So each week of this series, we've broken down the book of Proverbs. We've broken down the wisdom sayings in the book into different categories. We've kind of grouped them into topics. And in a few minutes in your small group, you're going to read a lot of these sayings, and you're going to look at what wisdom you can apply to your life. We talked about how the word that we translate into English as wisdom is hakmah from the Hebrew. That word actually more entails like an applicable skill. It was wisdom that required an action. And so this is a book of applied learning. Things that we could add into our life to do better, to live wiser. So this morning we're going to look at 5 topics. We're going to look at debt, poverty, generosity, wealth, and work. In America, debt is pretty much a part of life. I don't know the latest trillions that our national debt number is sitting at, but a really quick Google search, I found that our consumer debt in America is $4.14 trillion. In fact, the average American has $5,300 in credit card debt. We have a mentality that if we can't afford it now, it's okay. We'll just put it on a credit card. We'll take out a loan. We'll pay for it later, but we want it now. This problem of debt, for some people, it's fairly easily managed. For others, it's a crushing weight of stress and frustration. It almost seems so overwhelming that they'll never get out of it. Go to school and get loans for that. Buy a house and get a loan for that. Get a nice car and get a loan for that. Put things on the credit card. We live and operate a lot of times in a debt mindset. But should that be the way that we approach it? Now, I'm not going to go into all of the Dave Ramsey things. I'm not going to go into yelling and screaming if you have any debt or your family does. But for many families in America, debt is a real problem. We need to make sure that we approach it as wisely as possible. Very similar and close in nature to debt is talking about poverty. There's very few street corners you can pass anymore that you don't see somebody with a sign asking for help. There's very few places that you can go that you don't pass some part of town that's kind of, well, not very well off. We have a lot of people whose entire experience in life is in poverty. They don't have most of the things that they want, and many times they don't have even the things that they need. And how should we, as believers, approach this issue of poverty? And one of the ways that we can approach that, and one of the wisdom things that we can apply in our life, is living generously. Living in such a way that we live with our hands open, that we see the things that we have not as ours, but as things that God has blessed us with, gifts from Him, and we hold them in open hands, so that we don't cling tightly to them, but that we use them to help other people. That we live a generous life, not just collecting stuff for ourselves, not hoarding things, not just wanting to have everything that we could possibly get our hands on, but living in such a way that with all of our resources, with all of our time, with all of who we are, that we're generous towards other people. We're going to look this morning in your small groups about the wisdom that Solomon gives us about living a generous life. I've heard a lot of times people say, well, look at all the money that those people have. They must... We kind of sometimes look down on people that have money, right? The people that are wealthy. As I drove around most of the county over the last couple of days, and with a great opportunity to see many of you guys, I've also had a chance to see every aspect and every side of the spectrum when it comes to having and not having. And a lot of times we look at people that have a lot of stuff, that have a lot of wealth, and we automatically just kind of think, well, they must be greedy. There must be something that they're doing that's shady or wrong. There's nothing that I can find in Scripture that says that it's sinful in and of itself to have wealth. It's all about how we use it. For some of us, God has blessed us incredibly. What are we doing with it? Are we hoarding that wealth? Are we holding with clenched fists onto our stuff? We're living generously with our hands open, blessing other people the way that we've been blessed. And then finally, the topic you're going to look at this morning is work. I know for a lot of people, it's a dirty word. It's one of the 4-letter words we probably shouldn't ever say. Some people are so afraid or so opposed to work that they seem like they never do it. And then others seem like they never stop. It seems like they're always going, always working, always doing something. Is one right and one wrong? Is one better than the other? We're going to look at some wisdom about work and how we need to apply that in our life. We have loved getting the opportunity to learn some new things and new ways to connect with you guys. We miss you. We can't wait to be back in the same room together and getting back to some level of normal. Until then, we want to encourage you guys to keep connected with us in any way possible. On Sunday mornings and Sunday night, go to our YouTube channel and watch the Sunday school lesson, watch the Sunday night lesson. Go to the Zoom calls on Sunday morning after you watch the Sunday school lesson, and on Wednesday night after you watch that. On Wednesdays, we'll have a live show from a closed set here in the Teen Center with a game and some worship and some silliness and a challenge. Go to our website, morrisonhill.com. Underneath the ministry page, select teens. And there you'll find all of the resources for small group questions. This whole devotional packet will be there in case you lose yours or you need another one you want to share with somebody else. Take this opportunity to challenge yourself, to continue to grow in your faith. We look forward to the time that we get to see you guys again, and we're praying for you that you would take this time to grow closer to God, to grow closer to your family. We love you guys. We can't wait to see you.